Once again, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and children of our ladies, you're now tuned into the Investor Show. As always, this is your gracious host, the Prince of Investing, Prince Dykes, coming to you guys and girls live from the beautiful city and state of Denver, Colorado. Don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, comment, and share button. And as always, I don't have a lot of time, and I definitely know you guys and girls don't have a lot of time, so we're going to jump straight into it. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon, hit that like, comment, and share button. As you guys and girls already know, I have a very, very special guest that's here live in studio with us today. First time, I think this is the first time we had a politician on the show, right? Here in Denver. And you know what? This is his first podcast he's ever done. So first politician, first podcast, even though I don't know how many interviews, but this is going to be a very interesting one. So without further ado, let me introduce my guest, Mr. Herndon. How's it going? Mr. Chris Herndon, Denver City Councilman. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing well. Appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Okay, definitely. You know, the first thing for people out there who's looking at this, and I know this is your first podcast, right?
It is.
So your first podcast, if people are looking like, well, who is Mr. Herndon? I know he's a Denver City Councilman. Can you tell us about yourself?
Yeah, I appreciate it. I'll get a little bit of specificity and I'll get a little bit more general as well.
Okay.
3 words to describe me. I'll probably do 4. Let's say 1, veteran.
Mm-hmm.
2, professor.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3, servant leader. And I think that's a testament to just my journeys and my travels to where I've been. Growing up, Kansas City, Missouri, my mom was a teacher, taught for almost 40 years, Kansas City School District. And she always said to both my brother and I, you know, these two knuckleheads growing up, hey, what are you doing to give back? But it really resonated with us in both our capacities. My brother served a career in the Air Force. I was a West Point graduate, served in the United States Army for just shy of 7 years, 2 deployments, Kosovo and Iraq. I worked in the private sector once I got out of the military. That's actually what brought me here to Denver, Colorado. Got a job with United Airlines. And then right around 2009, 2010, I just had this, something was missing. You know, you feel like something's not right. And as I was trying to sort things out, what exactly I was missing, I realized it was public service. And so I took some time to figure out how can I find a way to serve again? And that's when I got this crazy idea, I'm going to run for office. And that was it. That was it, sir. That was 12 years ago when I decided to do it. 2011, elected District 11, re-elected 2015, District 8, re-elected again 2019. So I'm on my 3rd and final term, and it has been such a blessing. I love it. But I'm really proud of the work that we've done.
3 terms in office.
Yes, sir.
Right here in Denver.
Yes, sir.
Now, how did you learn the political, like you said, you was in the military. You came here, American Airlines, right?
United Airlines.
United Airlines. Yes. United Airlines. And you get this itch of like, hey, did you have a mentor? How did you kind of go into that?
Well, I think one thing, the worst thing about politics is politics. That's what I tell people. But what I think resonated with folks is because I say I'm a public servant. That's what I say, because I am here for you to serve the public. I will never say politician because it has tones to it, but I am here to serve the public. And it really just about people are looking for individuals that have that history of service. And that's unquestioned. My time in the military, my church, True Light Baptist Church, that I went to. I volunteered during some times there to teach financial literacy to some of our members. I taught across the street when it was Montbello High School for a semester, helped some youth improve their math and language art skills. People are looking for those with a history of service. And that's what resonated when I was first elected. And I think we just took that ball and like, let's just continue to serve. And 3 terms later, still here, still serving.
Wow. So with that being said, 3 terms in office, West Point graduate, Army background. I mean, the wrong branch, but it's okay. Wrong branch, but we're not going to hold that against you that it was Army, right?
Yes.
But we all veterans. Definitely thank you for your service and appreciate your service, right? Now, what's next? What's next for Chris? You've done this for 12 years, over a decade. You've been in, not a politician, but serving the public, right?
Absolutely.
What's next? Is it mayor?
Well, so there's a mayoral race that's heating up, and what you have not heard is my name, and that is intentional. I am not running for mayor in 2023.
Is it senator?
Oh man, Prince, I appreciate that. My mom loves you. You stop talking to my mother. No, what I care about, it really is the service will continue, and that's what I'll find. And there are multiple pathways that you can do that, whether it be working for a nonprofit, possibly working for the next mayor. But I think that I'm really excited about creating my own business. And so I've been working on creating an organization that tentatively we call it the Herndon Leadership Institute. How can we help people reach their potential. And that can be done through several different capacities. It can be done through professional coaching. I'm going through a certification right now to become a life coach to help people get through those challenges of navigating through life and help them find solutions so that they can maximize their potential. I'm also looking into being a possible keynote speaker. I love standing in front of groups and telling my story, inspiring them, encouraging them to do what they need to do, as well as leadership development. I mean, there are so many different leadership development programs out there. One I believe in is called the Leadership Challenge that I had the ability to go through this summer. I'm getting trained as a facilitator to help people understand that. So I have this idea, this institute, Herndon Leadership Institute, help individuals fulfill that potential that they have within them. That's something I think would just be a powerful thing to do. And that's just, I would wake up every day excited to do that.
I mean, would it be like a nonprofit or a for-profit? How would that work, you know?
Well, if it's my own particular business, that would certainly be a for-profit. I want to help people be able to do it. So that's what I'm looking at. I haven't really finalized the particulars yet. I'm working on that now. I've still got some time on Denver City Council, but that's really what gets my fire going, helping people fulfill their leadership potential.
So no more politics.
Oh, no problem.
No more politics in the future.
Well, service is definitely in the future, and service can be several different things. I would certainly not say that I'm not going to run for a future office, but I'm definitely telling you I'm not running for mayor. That is certainly sure in 2023, but I'm excited about public service because that really is what got me going. That was what the challenge was in 2010 when I figured out, hey, I love my private sector work, doing good work, but something was missing. And it really was that service component. When you serve in the military, it's every day.
Yeah.
But now I found a way to find time to serve again. And now I want to keep serving.
Okay. So going into the entrepreneurship piece that you just spoke about, didn't know about that. So congratulations to you on that. Right. I will tell you during my time in the military, my 19 years coming up on 20 years here, I traveled around every 3 years. You know how it goes. You're moving around, things like that. And, you get the absentee ballots and you don't know what's going on back in, me, I'm from Georgia. So I don't know what's going on. Hey, this councilman is doing this judge is doing this. You don't really kind of know. So as a business entrepreneur, veteran, or even just an everyday person, why should people get to know their city councilman? Oh, how does that play a role into that?
Thank you so much. And I want to encourage.
It's Chris, especially on the business side. I'm listening.
Absolutely. And I think individuals' business, everyone knows who the president is. They understand who the governor is. They know who the mayor is. And those are certainly important executive positions. But there are other electeds that you need to know. You need to know who your council members are. Because if you think about Denver City Council, for example, 13 people represent over 700,000. And we make decisions for approving laws, contracts over particular dollar amounts. So say you're a business, you want to reach out, you want to put in for a city contract. Who are the people that make those decisions? That's Denver City Council. And the mayor moves after city council votes. And so businesses, individuals, they need to know who those council members are who are making decisions on behalf of 700,000. It's vital that you know who those individuals are, what they care about, and when you make sure you exercise your right to vote, because those are the individuals that will shape the landscape of your city.
Now, your city councilman, like you said, 13 people representing 750,000 in the Denver area. Somebody's tuning in, listening to this. They're like, wow, you're right. I never even thought about who my councilman or councilwoman was. How do I get to know them?
Absolutely. I mean, the simplest way, denvergov.org. All 13 of us are there. Now, it's interesting, too. People think 13 city council members, does that mean there are 13 districts? Actually not. So City Council 101, for Denver, we've got 11 districts, equally divided in population, roughly 70,000 plus that each individual council member will represent. But then we've got 2 at-large members. And so their position is to think citywide. And every city has a different breakdown for how they have their elected officials. But for us, 11 districts, 2 at large. How do you get in touch? denvergov.org. Everybody's contact information is on there. Reach out to your elected officials. And I think that's actually really telling. Do they respond back? Shoot them an email, give them a call, and see, hey, what it is that they're about. We all have websites. Hey, what do you care about? What's your background? Why are you running? Why are you here for Denver City Council? It's very telling. Reach out and see how that conversation goes.
So if I can't get a phone call back, be like, okay, all right, I see what this is about.
No, I mean, I jokingly say everybody is
It's
human,
busy.
and
Yeah.
I can assure you, in 11 years, I've missed a phone call or an email.
Mhm.
But I'm proud, in the team that I have in place, we make sure that if someone reaches out to our office, they will have an opportunity to connect with me because, as I tell the public, you're the reason that I'm here.
You're right. Yeah, yeah. When I reached out to your office, you got a pretty good team.
Appreciate it.
So shout out to your team. Now, you spoke about, when you was at church, you created a financial literacy program, teaching, I think it was kids or adults. It was kids. Mostly.
Absolutely, yeah.
So what made you get into this, and why did you get into this?
So what you're talking about is Northeast Denver Leadership Week. And in a word, in a sentence, it's this immersive leadership experience, because I have fallen in love with Denver, Colorado. But I realized some of the youth that I represented in District 11, District 8, don't see what Denver has to offer. And that was the genesis behind Northeast Denver Leadership Week. Let's just take a week and show them what Denver has to offer. And it's not about, hey, I'm going to sit you in an auditorium and tell you you should consider a career in the healthcare industry. No, that's not how it works. Kids need to see it. We take you to Kaiser Permanente, where you meet the dietitians, the optometrists, the physical therapists, so that they learn and they see people, by the way, who look like them. And we replicate that over and over again over the course of the week. We talk about the power of networking. We talk about the power of financial literacy, because we partner with Junior Achievement. So we spend the morning at Finance Park, where the students show up, they get an iPad, they have a career, they have a credit score, they have a job, they have a family, and they have to go budget. And I would tell you, this is one of the most eye-opening experiences for these students, and the quotes you will hear are just so funny. Like, why do I have to buy groceries for my husband? Like, oh my gosh, I had no idea kids were this expensive. But it's so powerful because we don't teach financial literacy to our kids. And I tell the students, if you don't master money, money will master you. Yeah. And so it's important for them to get that education now, make those mistakes now before they go to college. And hey, here's a pizza signed for this credit card. And then there you go. It starts that spiral. It's just such a powerful experience. And I'm so proud of all the individuals who have volunteered to make Northeast Denver Leadership Week the experience that it is, because it really is life-changing for our students.
So again, that was North Denver Leadership Week.
Northeast Denver Leadership Week. I realized 11 years ago I probably should have come up with a shorter title.
11 years. So was that something that you did because that was your district as a councilman? You said, hey, let's just go ahead and install this week. Why not the whole city?
So no, it was for me because it was the first time I did it was August of 2011. Okay. I got sworn in the month before. So I looked at my team and said, I want to do a program to show our youth what Denver has to offer. And that was it. We had 6 kids a month later after we had the crazy idea. And pre-pandemic, when we were at our heyday, we were averaging 100 students. I mean, it was magnificent. Wow. It was powerful to do that. And yeah, that was just my way of, again, this job's about public service. So how can we serve our youth? And for me, Northeast Denver Leadership Week was the medium to do it.
Okay. So something we spoke about this before the show was talking about when people become, one of my initiatives and one of my causes, because, I'm an author. I wrote children's financial literacy books and installed a program making kids winners of stocks. The issue I ran into that was in order to issue a child a stock, the parents must sign up for a brokerage account, right? So in order for me to transfer the shares of stocks to them. So many of the parents, some parents were illegal, some parents had bad backgrounds, some kids were in foster care, right? So I was, so sometimes I ran into those issues, and then I thought about it. I said, well, everybody goes to kindergarten. Why not as soon as you walk into kindergarten, you give it, get an investment account? Biggest question everybody says, well, where did the funding come from? And my thing was like at 18, everybody just throws all type of money at you. Hey, you want a car? Like you said, you want to get this pizza and a credit card. You want student loans. You want this type of loan, whatever you want. Whether it's government, whether it's corporate or whatever. My thing is reallocating those funds to kids and creating investment accounts for kids that compound that kids get to see. It incentivizes them to graduate high school because now they know they have an investment account, and it gets out of that pie in the sky theory. Because, most times, I go to a community and I'm speaking about something and they can't even pay the rent. So, or they're struggling. They don't even know they're going to be living in the next month or two. They're not even thinking about, an investment account and trying to learn about this or whatever. But if I could go to them and say, hey, you have one, but you have to keep a clean record and you got to graduate high school. What do you think about that concept?
Oh man, that's a powerful mechanism to do it. I mean, of course, as people always say, devil's in the details. Like,
Boom,
how
there
do
it
we
is.
find a way
There it is, guys.
to make that reality? And who is the financial institution that partners with it? Could it be Mile High United Way? Could it be Young Americans Bank? I mean, there's so many nonprofits that do that. But the idea is real. Like, how do we make sure our youth understand the power of the purse and how you can create wealth just as easy as some of their other counterparts? And so I'm right there with you on finding a way to do that. And does government, but it'll be interesting because every good idea, there's a counter to it. Like whose role is, whose responsibility is that? I might argue it's everybody's because I believe the best investments are made in people. And you do them early enough, then you'll see those dividends rewarded over and over again. So I think that's a powerful idea. How can we make that a reality? Let's continue to have a conversation.
Yeah, I thought about that too. It doesn't have to be one institution. It could be something that's bidded upon, or it could be a created board or committee, something like that. But the details is that's always I know in America we create everything. It's a way to figure it out. If you put enough brains in the room, somebody can come up to it, come up with the idea. But that whole conversation with student loan debt and student loan crisis, what are we going to do with the student loans? And I said, okay, great. We get our student loans forgiven for this generation, but what's going to happen next year and to our grandkids and to our kids? Are we going to forgive them too? Or are we going to be right back at the table with the same conversation? And that was just my idea of like, hey, with every generation, you notice one generation before always suffers for another generation to have it better and better and better. So it's like, hey, yeah, I have some student loans. Hey, I didn't get all of them forgiven, but I got some forgiven. But my kids or my grandkids won't have to worry about this. That's always been kind of my thought process. So I'm glad to hear that you at least say that. It's a pretty good idea in theory, at least, right? So now Denver allocated $5 million for a hotel for homeless. Did I read that correctly?
Yeah. I mean, if you think about, and I appreciate the work that we do to help people experiencing homelessness. We actually, I mean, you imagine it's so much more than that. But there's one particular issue. We've done a couple of things in my district and where we've worked with acquiring a hotel, because the challenge with people experiencing homelessness is the speed it takes to house an individual. Like if we're going to build housing, I mean, that takes months, that can take years to go through the city process to do that. But if we can look and say, hey, here's a hotel that we can quickly acquire to provide services and housing for people, that is an immediate way to get somebody who's experiencing homelessness off the street into stability and with services. So we have done that throughout the city in several different capacities. So I'm excited that, and I say I was going to get too excited that, but we're also doing it throughout the city because most people think about people experiencing homelessness. We think about the downtown core, but downtown cannot bear the entire burden of people experiencing homelessness for our city. Every district has to do their part. And so that's one way that we're doing it in District 8. And there's certainly others that I won't mention, but I appreciate the fact that we're putting our money where our mouth is to help acquire this hotel. And we're doing this with several different funding sources. So it's not just the city that's acquiring it, getting dollars from the federal government, but we're going to acquire this. We're going to house people and get them the services that they need.
Okay. So it's pretty much you're just going to buy a hotel and say, hey, homeless people, you can live here.
Well, certainly. I mean, that you quickly generalize.
That's what I'm kind of not like, hey, you can live here, but
acquiring, and also because the city doesn't provide the services. So who's going to be the program manager to run the program? And is it a credible one? Is it reputable? Do they have a history of success? I mean, and that's why people sometimes get like, why is it taking so long? Because we have to make sure we have the right partner in place to provide the services to all those individuals. But we're moving forward with that, and I look forward to the results.
Yeah, because I had one of my guests came down to the podcast and he said, man, you guys got a lot of homeless people around here, just looking at downtown Denver. And he was like, man, if I had the money, I would just buy a hotel and just say that everybody can just live there, as much money we have and things like that. So when I came across that and saw that, I thought that was very interesting. And I said, why won't we do that to other cities? But when you brought up the administrative piece of, hey, now that we put the $5 million there, we go buy the hotel, what's going to be the process? Who's going to live there? What about like the upkeep, housekeeping, and who's going to, inspect the rooms and make sure, is it a long-term thing, or is it just, hey, you only get 6 months and then you have to move? Who's going to pay for the bed sheets and the pillows? And it's a lot going behind the scenes that, we think of it in a general way. We can look at a hotel and say, man, just get these people off the streets. But, the administration side is, and that's the part that keeps it slow that you're saying. When you think about the details of it, that's when you're like, okay, well, who's going to manage it? And now for a situation like that, do people do the city create a job for that person to do? Or do companies or independent contractors come in and just bid?
And that's exactly why we have to make sure we have the right provider in place, because people experiencing homelessness, just like any other thing, people have different needs. Maybe the need is, I just need stability over a roof over my head. It could be substance abuse. It could be a mental health challenge. It could be numerous things that is preventing an individual from becoming stable. That's why we put them in these particular programs where we can assess each individual need and find them a solution. So when we say provide services, it's very broad in general because different people need different things. And so that's why it takes time to find the right provider. And then in turn, because you think about it, let's say we just acquire a hotel. Well, does every hotel have a kitchenette? How are these individuals going to eat? Is the expectation is they go buy their own food? Well, people experiencing homelessness, some have the means, some do not. And so that's why these are all the things we have to take into account before we move forward with acquisition, before we move forward with provider, and then determine who are the right individuals to be there. Because this particular hotel may not be right for every person experiencing homelessness. There might be a particular niche that we need to focus on here and then create another solution at a different location.
Okay. So now, someone who's, you just brought up on entrepreneurship. You brought up a good point about getting to know your city councilman. So I'm an entrepreneur. Man, you just brought up some good things. I can go in there and clean that hotel. My nonprofit provides domestic violence services, or my nonprofit provides, drug rehab or gang violence or whatever. How do people get involved? How do they say that entrepreneur that's sitting at home, sitting on the couch or driving down the road and hear this and say, how do I get involved? What's my steps? Do I just call the councilman? Do I go to the council meeting and sign up for meeting? What would be the best way there?
I would say the easiest way is to reach out to your council member's office. Because you're the reason that I'm here. And so I'm more familiar with the city than most people who are just going about their everyday lives reach out to me. Most city agencies issue what's called RFPs, requests for proposals. So it could be HOST, Housing Stability Office. Like, hey, we're looking for a provider to provide services at this particular property we're going to acquire. So you stay in touch with HOST, you get connected on their website, you get connected to those individuals who
HOST is that an acronym?
That is Housing Stability. So
is that only for Denver?
So yeah, Denver has every city has different agencies there, but we particularly have HOST. We have DITO, Department of Economic and Development Opportunities. That can be another one. I'm a small business owner looking for economic development opportunities. Connect with DITO. And so when we issue these RFPs, these proposals, you'll get an immediate email. Hey, come to this website. This is what we're looking for. Airport, another opportunity. Hey, I'm a business person. I want to do some things at the airport. Airport has an office for economic development. So staying in touch with your respective agencies that you're looking to work with, that's the key to learning about what we're offering as a city. And hey, if you don't have those contacts yet, again, reach out to your council office and say, hey, how can I learn more about what you have to offer? Because I want to do good in the city just like you are.
That's a good point. So someone who's sitting at home in their city or here in Denver and they're saying, hey, I'm an entrepreneur, I do XYZ, and I'm seeing other people get city contracts and this from the government or whatever. How can I, as an entrepreneur, say, hey, I want to bid to build that stop sign that's down the street? And what the city does is just put out an RFI, request for information, to say, hey, we're looking for somebody to do this, and then you can put in your bid, I'm assuming.
Yeah, RFIs, request for information, request for proposals, depending on what our particular need is, that will determine what requests we send out. But you can certainly stay engaged that way, as well as we as a city want to support small businesses. So we have tools and resources to help small businesses as well. We recognize how COVID has wrecked small businesses. So as a city, we've gotten dollars from the federal government. We've got tools. Reach out to us. Let us know, hey, I need some assistance in this particular issue. We as a city could possibly help you with that too.
Okay. So now I have the question of, Denver's a very developing area. I brought a house here I've been here for coming up on 5 years. Came in from Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, and got stationed here. Brought a house here a couple years ago. And as you know, the real estate market has been, pretty good the last decade. So you're driving down the road and boom, There's construction. Then boom, this building just went up and this building went up. And you kind of like, what? Or you don't even know construction. You just see a site that's getting cleaned off. You don't know what's going on over there. You don't know what's happening. I don't know what that is. What are they building over there? And everybody starts speculating. I heard it's going to be a hospital. I heard it's going to be a McDonald's. Or I heard it's going to be an XYZ. What can you say? How can I stay abreast of what's going on? Because as an entrepreneur and an investor, if I know that, hey, in my neighborhood, they're going to build a McDonald's, hey, that's going to raise the value of, my neighborhood. So how can a citizen or person, instead of just being on the receiving end, how can they just know what's going on in their city, the real estate development and stuff like that?
I'm going to be a broken record because I'm going to tell you once again, reach out to your council office, man. Okay. Now you know why we are so busy, because that's our role. Our role is to educate and inform people. You are parents, you are workers, you are doing all these things. You may not have time to know what's happening across the street. Call our office and we can tell you. Now, depending what they're doing. So say, for example, every piece of land in the city and county of Denver is zoned. And when I say zone, there's a nomenclature to it where it could be Main Street, 3 stories. I just used that as an example. Mm-hmm. Now, if a individual property owner says, hey, I really like this, but I want to do something different. I want to go through a rezoning process. So that has to be noticed. So there will be a sign on that piece of property saying, hey, there will be a public hearing. Public will have the opportunity to weigh in on that. So you may see a sign. So you may not have to reach out to my council office. You're like, oh, there's a sign. There's a public hearing on this date. Oh, and there's a way to get more information. But if you just start to see construction going on, they have to go through the permitting process. Mm-hmm. Now, feel free if you want to call the permitting office yourself and do all that digging. Bureaucracy is real. Or you can just call our office and say, hey, 1235 Main Street, can you help me understand what's going on? Absolutely. We'll look into that and we'll get back with you. That's our job, to let you know what's happening. And also, we do a monthly newsletter. Most other council offices do newsletters as well. Sign up for our newsletter so that you can know every month, hey, these are the things that are happening. Follow us on social media. We meet as a council most Mondays. We send out on Facebook, here's the agenda. This is what we are about to vote on upcoming. Reach out to your council person. What is this bill? What is this resolution? How do you feel about that? That's why we're here. Let's have a conversation. Give me a call. Let's talk.
Okay. So a person should reach out to the councilman, I don't know, maybe a phone conversation or I don't know, however councilman you want to do it. Phone or by
phone, email. Zoom.
So if you're a local entrepreneur, you would say, hey, get to know your councilman. And if you want to build something in your area, the councilman should be able to help you out or point you in the right direction. Or if you, even as a small business, get to know your councilman and things like that. So, being in your position for 12 years, seeing so many proposals and pitches, things that went good or bad, or things that came out great. What would be your advice to, the entrepreneur, the investor out there, to, hey, I want to get into this or whatever? What would be your advice?
I would say this is advice to anybody. If you believe it, reach out to achieve it. I mean, you got to think about my story. 12 years on city council. I hadn't done anything politically up until that point outside of vote. Got elected, reelected, president of city council, vice president of city council, all these great things I've done in the district just because I worked really hard and I believed in myself. So young entrepreneurs, you want to make a difference, you want to build your business, believe in yourself. Look for those around you who can help and support you, whether it be your council person, whether it be mentors. I mean, their ability to make these great progress and achievements in your personal life and helping those around you, just believe it and reach out and just go after it.
Okay. Now, when you was teaching your financial literacy courses in the church, right? What products did you have any books like teaching kids about investing, credit, insurance, anything like that?
So that was done through Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University, and so they had the curriculum that was already done for them. So it talked more about just how you better manage your money so it doesn't manage you. And there were some products, minimal though, but it was just really about your mindset. This belief that you can manage it and it doesn't have to overwhelm you. It talked about baby steps. Like the idea is here's your first step, here's your second step, and you just work your way to financial freedom when I did that at True Light.
You have what, two kids?
I do, yes.
2 kids, okay. Well, you know what? Today we're going to go ahead and just for the city councilman, look at that.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you.
We're going to get Wesley Learns to Invest hardcover. Teaching kids about investing, came out in 2015. Then he's going to get Wesley Learns About Credit 2017. And then since he is kind of a Broncos fan a little bit, He's from Kansas City. NFL Hall of Famer Terrell Davis. You remember him back when he was a kid. We partnered on this book, Wesley Learns About Insurance, starring NFL Hall of Famer Terrell Davis.
Thank you. I
appreciate So you got a children's book on investing, credit, and insurance. Most people had never seen that. And all was stamped by Warren Buffett.
Thank you. My son loves numbers and he loves money. So this will be great reading for him. I enjoy that. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Definitely. Now, for people out there, I know you're in your last term and people out there want to get in contact with you that says, man, Mr. Herndon said some great things. Chris, man, I love what he's doing. I want to ask you this. What if somebody out there who's has that same aspiration as you that want to get into politics? What would be your advice?
Again,
with some do's and don'ts.
Oh, do's and don'ts. Well, one, find a mentor. I mean, there are people who are doing the right thing in politics and there are people who are doing the wrong thing. So find those that are doing the right thing and reach out. I can tell you a story that I had. A mentor of mine was Mayor Hancock. And I reached out to him prior to me running for office because he came to my church when he was Councilman Hancock. And he was bringing at the time candidate Bill Ritter, who was running for governor. He talked about the importance of voting. This was during the sermon. And then afterwards in the foyer, when I went up and introduced myself and I said, hey, I'm Chris Herndon. I'd love for you to be my mentor. And then at that moment, he looked at me, didn't even blink. He's like, absolutely, let's connect.
What?
And that's how you know somebody really cares about your intentions. He's here with a candidate for governor. He could have said, no, I'm too busy. I'll talk to you later. He was like, absolutely. And we connected shortly after that. And so that's what you need to find, that person who believes in you and can help you navigate those. I mean, the struggle is real. There are definitely landmines and pitfalls that you can have.
I take my hat off to you.
And I will tell people, I always want to encourage people who have never run before to do it because I did it. And I can then tell you, if I'm capable of doing it, you absolutely can. So again, reach out to my office. Let's have a conversation. Let's go. Let's meet. Let's chat.
Okay. Well, anything you want to leave the people out here with? People tuning in. People, the thousands and thousands of people that already know you, and the ones that want to get to know you, and stuff like that. How do people get in contact? Anything you want to leave with them, and how do they get in contact?
Well, easy way, just contact my office. So 720-337-8888, District 8. Email address, is my full name, Christopher.Herndon@denvergov.org. But again, you are the reason that I'm here. So please reach out. Any way that we can serve, let us know. And then just end it with just nothing is impossible. I mean, just believe in yourself and you can do great things. The things that prevent us from being successful is ourselves. And don't let that stop you from doing great things. I was very successful in the private sector, but as I talked about, something was missing. And so I put myself out there, ran for office. And I couldn't imagine doing anything else than what I've done over the past nearly 12 years. So that's definitely one. Can't help but mention today's election day. So I want to encourage everybody to vote. And, if you may be listening, this is beyond election day, but that is your voice. That is your voice to make sure that the people that are making decisions for your benefit know how you feel. And you do that by voting. Cannot stress that enough. So please, nothing is impossible. And please go exercise your right to vote.
All right. Y'all heard it, ladies and gentlemen. Here live today, Mr. Chris Herndon, District 8, Denver City Councilman. Stop by today. Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, comment, and share button. And to the next video, podcast, cartoon, or whatever else crazy you see me doing around the globe. My name is Prince Dykes. Peace. Be safe. I'm out. And thank you.